welcome on Tucker Davidson, left-handed pitcher for the Atlanta Braves and a World Series champion. Tucker, it probably feels pretty good to hear that come out of people's mouths for the rest of time.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like, okay, I just kind of smile now when people say it, but I remember for the first 2 weeks, I was like, stop it. Yeah. I just didn't believe it still. And then it kind of sunk in eventually. I was like, wow, I'm a World Series champion for the rest of my life. And the way it kind of happened of in my rookie year, just kind of, that's something you dream of getting to pitch in the World Series. And it's something that I just, when it happened, you didn't really break it down until 2 weeks afterwards. And then you're sitting in bed and you're like, wow, this just all happened. So it was kind of a crazy turn of events, but I'm super thankful for the opportunity and hopefully we run it back next year.
So Tucker, World Series champ, but also fake real estate agent. We both got the chance to listen back to you with Jake and Jordan with Cespedes Family Barbecue. You said you roll with real estate agent as your career when you find yourself in Uber small talk. And I love that. That resonated with me on a deep level, because when I get in an Uber, and I'm not really interested in saying what I do, I'm just yeah, I'm a finance guy, pretty run of the mill, right?
Yeah, pretty boring stuff. I know I need to kind of switch it up because I'm getting a little nervous about this whole real estate, and people want to be like, oh, I want to buy a house, or it's just the market's so big right now. And I'm kind of worried about that. So it's I might need to find a plan B whenever I'm in a sticky situation like that.
That could be a side hobby though, right? You just research different professions and you just go into it and you just decide which one you are on every given day.
That's a good idea. Just wake up and be like, what should I be today? I'm going to be a farmer. I'm going to be, just anything where it might just bore people. But I'm not technically lying because I do own a rental property that I do Airbnb in my hometown. So it's
okay.
I'm not completely lying, but it's also that's kind of my side hustle. And I just have a little different job.
And on that interview with Baseball Barbecue, you mentioned that you say that you're a real estate agent, obviously, but someone texted you, right? Someone actually texted you for a house?
Yeah. So I was in an Uber and I was telling them oh, I'm a real estate agent. Just I think I was in Atlanta or something where I didn't really want people to know oh, I play for the Braves, because people get a little weird on that. And I've had Uber drivers turn around and wait, really? And been weird about it. So I was all right, real estate agent today. And he was oh my goodness, I'm actually in the market. What area to do? And I was oh man, I lived in Sandy Springs last year. So Sandy Springs. And he was oh, that's exactly where I've been wanting. He's do you have your card on you? And I was I just gave him my number and I was here, text me. And I felt terrible, but it happens a little more often than you think, just because random people have random things going on in their life and they might need a house. And it's oh, I met this real estate agent. Let me call him, because if that happened to me, I'd be hey, I'm interested. Are you looking for, do you still have something available for me? So that would be kind of me. So now I gotta figure something out.
Hey, so you said you have that Airbnb property. You're kind of a property manager, low-key, in Amarillo, yeah?
Yes.
So I just drove 3 hours from Indianapolis to Chicago this morning, and it was 15 degrees with 20-mile-an-hour winds. Are you in Amarillo or Dallas right now? And what am I missing out on temp-wise?
Dallas this morning when I woke up to work out, so it was 29 degrees. It got better. It was 40 by the time 11 someone we threw, so it was fine. But Amarillo, I think it got down to 9 a couple days ago. I mean, the New Year's hit, and it was just a cold storm hit Amarillo, Dallas area, and it was freezing. But I'm kind of I enjoy cold weather games, especially at the first of the year. I have a little confidence because during the spring in Amarillo, it was freezing in high school. And you still got to play. There's no getting out of it because it's a little windy. And I want to say Amarillo was a top 10 windiest city in America a couple of years ago. So it's windy every day and either blow straight in or straight out. So you better have it that day, or you better get some ground balls. You better figure it out, that type of thing. And so during the early parts of the season, the cold doesn't faze me at all. I kind of feed off of it because I know I can pitch in it. I can get my mind right of hey, you can go dominate these guys because they're not going to want to hit. So fastball's in, here you go. Get your hands to the ball, that type of thing. I'm not afraid of going after guys. A lot of people are oh, it's just cold. And I'm those hitters don't want to be out there as much as you do. So you might as well get back in the dugout, get next to that heater, and just go on with it.
Yeah. And do you run into a lot of guys who come from warm weather climates? Maybe they go to Georgia and it's still warm there, but just can't handle the cold at all. And maybe.
Oh yeah. So the biggest thing is the Latins can't handle the cold because they're Venezuelan, Dominican. It is absolutely beautiful year round. And so they'll come up to New York in April and they'll just be frozen, or it'll be that first I call it a cold day in spring training, and it's like 55 degrees, and everybody's like frozen, and they've got like 2 hoodies on, like they're like, I don't want to do anything today. And I'm like, it's going to be like this in New York in like 2 weeks when we go play the Mets. So like, I just will figure out how to hit in this. But really the biggest ones are the Latins. I mean, you have like Ian Anderson's on our team. He grew up in New York. So like cold weather games are like his thing. But then you have the guy from Florida, like Tukey, who cannot stand the cold. He's like, I don't want to be here today. I'm like, well, go put a beanie on and a couple jackets. We got to suit up and watch 9.
Right. So before we get into the big baseball discussion, I saw on your Twitter that you had a feeling that Antonio Brown will be a Cowboy, and we saw what he did running off the field with his shirt off. And you're a Texas guy, and I know that the Cowboys are your team. If you're Jerry Jones, do you actually consider bringing him in?
No. You don't bring that publicity stunt there. No. I think AB is a fantastic talent, but over the course of the last like few years, like you've seen kind of everything like spiral out of control just from like the vaccine stuff to now walking off the field in halftime. It's like, how do you bring that guy in the locker room and say, this is a guy that's going to help us win a championship? Because like a lot of things, like the locker room is one of the biggest parts of putting together a team, just like how everybody bonds, because you're bonding well in the clubhouse and you go out to the field and you continue that bond, you're probably going to be a pretty decent team. But we've all seen the clubhouse is divided, like things aren't going well, like it's just not a good time. So I think bringing him in like to the clubhouse or locker room wouldn't be the smartest thing, especially about to go into playoffs and doing that. But I mean, he's an incredible talent. He's done well everywhere he's been. And it's kind of, I think his chances in the NFL are running a little slim because I just don't know how many coaches or owners are going to want to say, yeah, bring AB in. He's worth it. So, but it wouldn't shock me if Jerry did do that. You know,
yeah, it wouldn't shock me either.
We are the Dallas Cowboys. So, and I was actually at the game and I'm like showing all my friends like the tweet of AB and they're like, no way he just did that. And I was like, dude, I got a feeling like AB's going to Dallas. And like, oh yeah, whatever. I was like, I'm going to tweet this and see what kind of Twitter drama I could stir up.
That'd be big time. Hey, I know Peter's got a fastball question for you, but before we get into that, you mentioned like clubhouse dynamic, locker room dynamic. You guys, it seemed like from the outside view were world-class, like the best clubhouse dynamic in baseball at the very end. Like you were there in the World Series. Mm-hmm. What was that dynamic like?
Everybody just had each other's back. Everybody was kind of rolling on the same engine. And it didn't matter if you had a bad game. Somebody was there to pick you up to kind of, like Ozzie didn't have like a good game, but Eddie was sitting right behind him and he was raking. So it was kind of like, hey, next man up, like continue to go out and play in the field. Like, oh, you didn't have a good outing. Well, you're going to pitch again tomorrow and different things like that. And it was just kind of, we always had that. And after we win, we have the same songs going on. I'm like the disco ball going, we're having a good time. You had the Burgundy Boys. And it was just, everybody was enjoying having fun. And we knew we were the best team at that time. We were playing the best and we weren't afraid of anybody. I mean, I remember it was either the Dodgers, the Giants, and everybody's like, who do you want? I was like, I think the Giants. I was like, just don't really want to match up against like the Dodgers pitching. I think we have a better shot against the Giants pitching. And then we had to go play the Giants and everybody's like, we're better than them. We beat them I think we beat them in June and like August or some late in the season. And it was just one of those, like we were rolling and we weren't afraid of anybody. And we're like, we go take a couple in LA. There's no way you're going to beat us in Atlanta. And that's what I think we knew is like, we can take a couple on the road. You're going to have a hard time beating us in Atlanta just because our crowd brings so much energy and excitement and we feed off of that. And just like late innings, you never know with us because we can hit a ball off the chop house before you know it. And then all of a sudden we're right back in the game.
Absolutely. And before I ask about your pitch mix, I just have to ask, what do you think went underreported when it came to this Braves team? Because I feel like everyone in the media was kind of shutting you guys out after just 88 wins in the regular season. Yet you had one of the top infields, a bunch of solid outfielders, an electric trio of starting pitchers, and an elite bullpen. I'm genuinely curious kind of what gives there.
Honestly, I think if you look back at the whole season, I think you look at Freddie Freeman's numbers in like April and May, where he was struggling. I mean, he was hitting balls. I think he had so many lined out at like hit 105 exit velo and he would just smoke balls right at the second baseman.
Yeah.
And then I think you saw like that turd of switch, like I think June hit and it was like, wow, he's hitting 375 this month. And then July happened. He's like, he's hitting 350. And it was like, he just continually got better. And that's what Freddie has always done. Like he's going to find a way to hit 300 each year. That's just what Freddie Freeman does. So I think that was kind of the biggest thing was like, he was the MVP in 2020, 2021 starts out rocky. And then it was just, he went off. So I think that was something kind of misses. Like he was our heart and soul. He's our leader. He's everybody who looks up to. He's been around the longest on the Braves, and it was kind of a cool thing to see him finally win it for Atlanta. And I really hope we re-sign him.
I hope you guys do too. What's taken
I don't see him in any other uniform besides the Braves, but I'm not the one giving out the checks.
I would have thought he would have signed the day after you guys won the World Series, and yet we're just taking a while. The lockout, we're hearing rumors of the Dodgers, and I'm on TikTok live, and people are like, "Is he actually leaving?" I'm like, "No, he cannot leave. He cannot leave the Braves. He's too
See, that's what
there.
happens when you start saying stuff that people are like, oh my God, he's really going to leave. And they get freaked out like, no, this is just hypothetical. I have no idea where he's going to go.
I just feel like it would be a disaster if he left Atlanta. He just is such an Atlanta guy.
Yeah, I don't want to see what happens. So let's just re-sign him, give him a pretty little penny, and let's move on.
So talking about you especially, because when we interviewed Jesus Zardo, whenever we have a big league pitcher, I always like to ask about your guys' pitch mix because I find it so interesting. So your average fastball in 2020 was 92, but it was 93 in 2021. And the average on your breaking stuff rose 3.5 miles an hour since last season, according to Baseball Savant. And I see you working on your velocity, it seems like every day on social media. Is that your main focus for 2022? And how do you think is the best way to go about it for some of our younger viewers or all the coaches out there?
I think a lot of 2022 is just mainly about health. I missed 3.5 months last year due to forearm injury. So that's a big thing for me is I want to be able to log 150 innings as a starter this year if I get moved to the bullpen, whatever the case may be. And it was just, I need to go the full season to be healthy because last year was the first year of my career that I was injured. So that's a big focus of me. I tendency to raise my arm slot, and that was kind of a big thing of getting my arm slot back into the normal position and then not putting so much stress onto the forearm and the elbow. So that was kind of been a focus this year. But with just like general things like velocity was something when I was in college, I was like 88 to 92 on a really good day, maybe even a little slower on like whatever my bad days. But that was something, and I got to pro ball, and the first pitch I saw was Luis Mora, and he hit 103. And I'm like, what did I just sign up for? Like, why am I here? I'm like a crafty lefty here with like a good breaking ball. And that was it. And so I kind of went back that first off season after I got drafted, and was like, I got to throw hard. Like, if I'm going to do this, like I got to figure out how to throw hard so I can because I couldn't just blow it past guys once I got to pro ball. I was like, I got to locate, I got to put the two seam down. I got to do this. I was like, that's just not who I've always been. I've been I'm going to overpower you. Here's the big curveball. Good luck trying to hit it. And so that first like few off season was like, I want to throw hard. I want to throw 95 every pitch. I want to throw 100 at one point. And I really got to the point where I was able to do that. And then just kind of as the years have gone, I've kind of found who I am. And I'm really going to be in that 93 to 97 range. I'll go reach back and get it. But if I need to hit a spot on the inside part of the plate, I'm not going to overthrow it anymore. And that's something that kind of took a lot of time, and a lot of coaches saying, quit overthrowing. I'm like, I'm not overthrowing, I'm just trying to throw it hard. But it was more of the mindset of, you got to drive it in there. You got to stay within your mechanics. You can't get out of whack, and you got to be fluid and look like an athlete, not like you're jerking all over the place. So that became kind of a focus the later, as I started progressing up into the later minors, because I knew I could go get 96, 97 whenever I wanted it. And it was like, can I find my happy medium of, this is where my fastball plays best, this is where my fastball doesn't play best. How do I make this where I can repeat it as much as possible?
And dude, it's working. Like your velocity is increasing year over year. What are some of the best drills, I guess, for those players and coaches to increase that velocity?
I'm big on long tossing. If you want to go down the weighted ball program, which I have been doing since I was in college, that was something when I kind of sat there and was like, I got to start throwing a little harder, because I didn't enjoy school always. And that's why I went to a Midland junior college. It was kind of, hey, go see if this baseball thing works out. If it doesn't, you can always transfer to a school and start your life. And I just was like, I don't enjoy school as much as I love baseball. Baseball has always been kind of my love. And I was like, I have a chance right now. I'm young, I can throw a ball very well. And it's like, I'm going to run with this, because who knows when I'm 22, if I'm even able to pick up a ball. So it's like, I'm going to take advantage of this while I'm young and able to gain strength and like that. So weighted balls became a big part of my program. And now I just kind of go through them more for like mechanical things, getting the arm in the right positions whenever my front foot lands, is my elbow up? Am I in the right position? Am I driving through the ground? And is it coming off my fingertips the correct way? And just kind of little things of cues of okay, like for instance, this offseason, I'm trying to lower my arm slot a little bit. If you know anything about like the axes and everything, I was at 1145 last year to 12, which was incredibly over the top. And that's not my normal slot. So I was actually dragging my arm up, and then I would pull it across, causing it to cut a little bit. So I lost some of the life on like the ride on the back end of my fastball. So I'm trying to lower my slot into a more normal position so I can get my hand into a better place and actually drive the full, we call it spin efficiency, which is like the full every ounce of backspin on that four-seam fastball. So that's kind of been a focus. And I threw my first bullpen, I was a little lower, but it was like, wow, I'm actually on the right track of not tilting my spine so much and getting my body in a better posture position.
So I know a lot of lefties, because I'm left-handed too, grew up pitching through high school, all that stuff. I know a lot of lefties get that natural arm side run often, like lefties more so than righties. So when you're up top and you're cutting, it was probably flattening out a little bit, right? So do you feel like now that you're dropping your arm slot, you're almost getting, not necessarily, like you might not be able to see it as well as the horizontal run, but you feel like you're getting some of that vertical dive too?
A little bit, yes. So if you ever watch Clayton, I'm sure you watch Clayton Kershaw pitch, his ball doesn't run back over the plate like hardly at all. So if he throws a fastball in, it is in. So him and I have almost identical fastball metrics, just based off of the vertical break, which is the ride of it, and then the horizontal break, which is about 2 to 5 inches. League average, I want to say, is like 8 to 10. So our ball does not come back over the plate. So we have no fear of throwing it into like a righty and it leaking back over the plate. But if you throw it middle, that thing is not moving and it's going to stay middle. You're not going to get it's going to go back to your arm side or anything like that. So that's kind of been something I've been working on, of just getting away from that where it moves a little bit, just so I can like get out of the comfort zone. And that honestly came to me cutting the ball a little bit and not having that good full backspin and letting the ball in my natural slot do its thing and let it kind of explode out of my hand and get up at the top of the zone or at the bottom of the zone, whatever the case the pitch may be.
Hey, I got one more off-season question for you, because it sounds like you're already working on a ton. Is there, a certain thing that you wish you were doing sooner, like that the Braves keyed you in on, whether it's like something diet-wise or something like a certain lift that you weren't doing that they keyed you in on that just kind of transformed the way you attack the offseason?
A lot of it was mental preparation. I didn't really learn the mental side of baseball until I got to about AA or AAA, where you have to kind of think through hitters. You have to worry about, okay, what did I show? Like, for instance, Joe Adell was in AA with me. He's probably one of the best hitters in the league that year. Yeah. And I remember facing him first 2 ABs, I struck him out, fastballs looking. Like he was like, why am I not getting this pitch? Try it again the third time. He whacks a double off the wall. And my pitching coach called me and goes, why'd you do that? He goes, you showed him the same thing for 2 times in a row and you never went to the curveball. You didn't even show him a changeup. And I was like, okay, I've got to learn the little things, because if this is happening in AA, it's going to happen in the big leagues even more. Right. So it's kind of learning how to navigate that. Whenever things go bad, how do you handle that pressure? How are you going to handle when 40,000 people are yelling at you and you can't throw a strike and they're booing you? Or in the dugout, you got a guy chirping you, calling you, you suck, you blah, 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 you'll never make it, you're just a waste of talent, you're wasting all these people money. Whatever the case may be, that's going to happen. If you want to pitch in the big leagues, that happens. And there's no going away. I mean, especially if you're in Philadelphia or New York, wherever, everybody doesn't like Atlanta. I mean, we'll put it that way. They're not big fans of the Atlanta Braves. So they're going to try it. How do I get this guy off, get him off his groove? And those are the things that really kind of took a big step for me, because I was always driven in the weight room. I was always wanting to find the next thing of how do I get better? And it kind of came down to analytically finding out what my pitches do, how much they move, where they're best located against certain hitters. If this guy doesn't hit the ball up, I'm going to throw the ball up. If this guy doesn't hit breaking balls well, my curveball plays well right there. Or my slider's better over my curveball, just learning those things and the mental aspect of being able to remember those while you're on the mound, trying to handle all this adversity.
So we just talked improvements. Let's talk some successes right now. And I know Peter's got a handful of World Series questions for you. But quick thing from me, did you know what your ring size was before November, or is that like a new number you just found out about yourself?
Yeah, no idea. I've never worn a ring. I mean, I think I don't even know what it is. I went into some store and I was just trying on, like, yep, that's the one. And they were like, and I was like, cool, thanks, send it over to him.
And before
so that was really about it.
And before we get to the World Series, and I even have another question about your curveball and your slider, I have to ask, because, you know, we're both on TikTok. Who's worse, the fans in the stands for the opposing team or the haters in your comment section on TikTok?
The fans in the stands, because so this is funny. We're in Philly this year, and this is a TikTok question, I guess you could say. We're in Philly, we're warming up, and these like 5 kids are like heckling us, and they're like 4 feet above me, like in the way the bullpen's kind of set up in Philly, where they're kind of standing over you on the concourse, and they're chirping me, trying to read my stats. And I literally stopped my like plyo care routine and turned up there and I said, if you're gonna talk smack on me, you got to at least follow me on TikTok. And I like made like a pretty viral TikTok like the day before. It was like that the Adult Swim trend that was going on for a while. And they literally start freaking out. They're like, I follow you. Like, they had no idea who I was. And they're just like trying to chirp me. And they're like, dude, I love you. And they're like, you want a French fry? I'm like, no, I don't want a French fry right now. And then like once you start engaging, yeah, COVID.
Yeah.
And then like they start engaging a little bit more, and like I get some like strange comments like in TikTok, but it's like all fun and game. And then they try to tell you suck, and I'm like, dude, like
you're a major league pitcher.
Like you're feeding my fire right
Yeah.
now. Like I haven't had anybody tell me I'm sucked in like 3 months, so it's like you're feeding my fire a little bit, but like it's just all fun and games. And like I love TikTok because it's just such a place that you can interact with kids that are 12 to diehard fans that are 45, and it's just such a wide variety. And I could do like a little silly trend of just throwing a baseball like I did yesterday on my like bullpen. It was just like some song that was like catchy right now, and I just put some lyrics to it or whatever the case may be. And I just like learning about different things of kids, like what's going on, because they're the next generation of baseball. And I'm going to be hopefully 35 in the league one day and looking back and be like, it's some kid that was in high school. It's like, dude, I followed you since you were on TikTok back then. So it's kind of a good way to like grow your brand and kind of learn from that. But yeah, there's some haters out there, but they are funny and they fuel me.
It's just funny, the nerve of some of them, because we interviewed Bob Costas a couple months ago on the podcast, and we clipped, and it said like, who is his favorite players, who is his top 5, and just we have people saying, oh no, Bob Costas is wrong, or Tucker Davidson, the guy who just won a World Series, sucks. I saw Ronald Acuna, he posted a TikTok too. People are like, you suck, and I'm like, what are you even talking about? Like the nerve of some of these people.
I'm just like, what's hurting you right now? Like you're going through that. You have to just come at me. I'm just throwing a ball, trying to like put a little bit of like just fun in your life of me like doing something like kind of cool, or like me throwing off the mound for the first time like that, and like throwing a really good changeup and then throwing a really good fastball. I'm just there because I enjoy making these videos. I enjoy looking at like all my bullpens and like looking how my mechanics, and I know kids these days do too, because like hype videos are so big, and like TikTok and like Twitter and Instagram, that stuff's just so big. And I like to be able to showcase like, hey, this is my world. Like this is what I do every day. I go out there and I work out in the mornings, and then I go throw, and then I go to physical therapy or the chiropractor or whatever the case may be, or I went on a date, whatever the case may be. That's just kind of one of those things that I enjoy like kind of showing to the world, because we are athletes and we are baseball players, but we have other lives and we have things, and we do care about like other things other than baseball. So,
and we need more of those kind of players, like on social media, talking to people about how amazing the game is, because that's just sometimes lost, I feel like, in our sport. But before we get immediately into the World Series, I just have one more question about your pitch mix. So your slider and your curveball is straight up disgusting. That's just a fact. I mean, we saw it on full display in the World Series. I mean, opponents hit 118 off the slider in the regular season and 167 off the curveball, and 3 pitches is plenty. But I did notice you messing around a little bit with a changeup and a sinker. Are you going to try and implement some of those pitches in 2022, or are you just focusing on kind of perfecting the fastball, curveball, slider?
I feel like I'm getting to the point where I'm kind of at the point of perfecting my craft of the curveball. After 2020, when the velo rose on both of those, it was it was more of grip wise on the curveball. I was spiking the curveball and it made it really big and loopy. And I didn't like that because I threw it a little harder, about 78, 79 in Double-A. And it was like one of the best pitches in the league. It was like hitters would come up to me and like, dude, I'm glad you didn't throw me that curveball there. Like I was striking out, or like, they're like, dude, I don't want to hit off you today. Like it got to that point where it was like, I kind of knew, and I was like, man, I'm getting good at this and perfecting it. And then like after COVID, it just wasn't the same. It didn't have the same bite. So they're like, hey, let's try make it a little bigger so it separates with the fastball. And it just didn't really work out. I felt like I had to place it. You couldn't just really rip it. And 2020 was the first year of me throwing the slider. I had kind of messed around with it in college, but it was really just a curveball. And then I watched Max Fried, and then I've been a big fan of Clayton Kershaw, and they both throw sliders that are very horizontal. I was like, I'm going to learn that. Yeah. So I tried all during quarantine trying to figure out this slider because I kind of debuted it in spring training, but then it got shut down before I could really kind of, hey, how do I make it do this, this, and this? Found a grip, showed up to summer training, and they go, where did you learn that? And I was like, it's just all I worked on, because I was like, I didn't have a changeup that was very good in AAA, and I got exposed when I didn't have my fastball, I didn't have my curveball that day. I was like, I got to have a third pitch to be a starting pitcher. So that's when it really took off. And last offseason, it got to the point where it was like, I knew it was going to be at the bottom third of the zone. I got really comfortable throwing it. And then I asked in my meeting, I was like, how often should I throw my slider? And they're like, probably like 20%. And I think a week goes by later and like, no, you're going to throw like 35 to 40%. Like, it's really good. And I think it's going to play well for you this year. But yes, been working on a changeup. It's taken me for really since college to like learn a big league average changeup. It took me a million grips, and I kind of found one where I can make the ball spin sideways the opposite way of a slider. So when you pronate, you come here and you're basically turning the ball over like that, and you're going to cause it to rotate the opposite way. Versus a slider, you get on this side and it's going to go this way. So you're trying to make it separate like this. So I'm really trying to figure out how to make that ball pronate, and I got it up to like 20 inches of horizontal break yesterday. Just need to kind of which is like up there towards like, I think Strasburg's got like the best analytical changeup, and it's got 0 inches of vertical break and 20 inches of horizontal. So it's just straight down disgusting. And just really just trying to kill that vertical break so it drops a little bit more and it's not so flat, and it has a bigger separation between my fastball and like slider and everything. It just has a little bit bigger separation essentially.
Hey, one of your teammates, I mean, like on a national stage, his changeup was like exposed to the world, right? Like Ian Anderson has one of the best changeups in baseball. Did you bounce any ideas off Ian when you were working through that?
Yeah, his big thing was just the arm speed. And we came up the minors, we played in every level together. And I remember in high A, low A, he had like a good curveball and he threw 95 and he's got the good extension, so nobody could hit him. And then high A, they were like, you got to find a changeup. And he had started to develop it towards the end of the year. And we're like, wow, that thing's gotten pretty good. We go to double A and this thing is unhittable. And we're like, what happened? And this is like right on the brink of like us getting very analytical. And we're like, why is it so good? Brought in a new pitching coordinator that next year after double A, and they broke it down for us. They're like, you throw a fastball at 12 o'clock, but your changeup's at 1 o'clock. So it looks identical. And then it just splits. And all they see is fastball, and then it's not. And they're like, what the heck? And the biggest thing was like, he found the grip. The biggest thing is a grip and keeping the arm speed and just having the full confidence of, I'm going to throw it at the catcher's chest. And if I get my hand in the right place, it's going to do the action. And so he put it on a national stage. And I mean, it's one of the best pitches in baseball. Seriously. Especially if you look at it just compared to his curveball and his fastball, like it is up there with, he's got elite stuff. And it's been awesome to be his friend for the last 5-6 years.
It's phenomenal. So paint us a picture. You know, you're a World Series champion now. And I heard a story on Baseball Barbecue, how game 1, when Chuck Morton went down, ended around midnight, unfortunately, but you got a call at 12:45. So, you know, it's down to you and Tukey to go to the World Series. What's going through your head in that 45-minute span between the end of the game and that call?
Get your room together, because I literally just had like suitcases because I had to move out of my apartment. So I just had suitcases everywhere. I was like, all right, get your room together. Figure out how you're going to get your stuff from the field, because it was at the AAA field. And I was like, okay. And like, everybody's starting to take care of it for me, but I'm just like, head's starting to spin. And they're like, flight times here, flight times, like you got to Uber to Truist, which was 45 minutes from the hotel I was staying at in Gwinnett. So I drive to Truist, drop my car off. I let them know I was going to be there at like 5:30 in the morning, Uber to the airport. And I'm like in Houston by like 11 p.m. And I'm just like, I got all my Brave stuff, and people are like looking around the airport like, what's going on? Like I'm sitting first class, smiling. I'm going to World Series. And it was just like, it happened so quickly. Like I remember going out for BP, and my heart was just like, it was like on my debut again. It was like, why am I pumped up for BP? And it's because like I hadn't done it in like 3 weeks since AAA ended. And I was just like, wow, like all this is really happening really quickly. And then I got in trouble before game 6. I guess you call it trouble. I was throwing like so many balls out during BP, the stands, because like they would hit them in the gap and I'd walk over and they're like screaming at me. And I'm like, yeah, here, I just throw it up there. And I guess they were like on the like about to run out of balls by like the last group. And like they were giving me so much crap for it whenever I walked in. They're like, oh, just giving all the way to baseball. Just didn't want to help any of you guys get better to win the game. And I was like, they just hit 7 rounds. Like, come on. But it was just all fun and games. And it was a crazy experience getting to win like in Texas, like where I grew up. But I also know like Atlanta might have burned down if we would have won that on game 5. Like I was a little worried like that might happen.
Yeah.
Oh,
you got a Pete?
Yeah, I got you. So World Series game 5, you're on the bump to start the game. You get a lazy fly out from Altuve. You get a walk to Brantley, and you get Correa to ground into an inning-ending double play. And I've heard you talk in interviews about the importance of slowing the game down. You're talking about the beating of your chest in BP, and it seemed evident that you were able to do that. Can you talk to the importance of going pitch by pitch? Because when we talk to big league guys, the importance of pitch by pitch is so evident when they talk, and why slowing the game down is so crucial in huge spots like that.
I mean, I get a lazy out, fly ball from Altuve, then I walk the next guy. I'm still in an opportunity to get a ground ball. Had I caved in and been like mad about, oh, I walked him, I'm mad about this. No, it's, hey, let's get ahead here. You're going to throw first pitch curveball. Throw a first pitch curveball for a strike, boom, you're good. And I think it's kind of navigating. Anything can happen. Like you can have an error like that. And now it's first and second. And then kind of if you let things spiral out of control, you don't ever get to be in control of the game. And you're the one that's starting every at bat. You're the one saying, all right, I'm going to throw a fastball here. I'm going to throw a slider here. You are in full control. You're like the quarterback. You make all of these things happen. And just breaking it down and slowing it down to, all right, breathe. What am I trying to do? Fastball in. Okay. And you deliver it and you execute, and you're like, okay, how did he swing on it? Did he yank it down the line? Do I need to throw something soft away? And just, if you start thinking 2 pitches ahead, and like, you can't strike anybody out until they get 2 strikes.
Yep. Yeah.
And if you're just wasting pitches and you're 3-1 to everybody, because you're just trying to throw the best slider of your career instead of trying to be like, all right, slider for a strike here, curveball for a strike, fastball in, whatever the case may be, move his feet. Oh, I need to do this. I need to do this. If you don't slow it down, you can't do all those things until you actually like hone in on, this is what I do well. This is what I don't do well. I need to stick to my guns and be fastball here, whatever the case may be. So it's really just like calming yourself down and not getting too excited in the moment or letting the game slip away from you, because we've all seen pitchers out there and you're like, oh, he doesn't have it. The mind starts wondering. And the next thing you know, the manager's calling to the bullpen, hey, get so-and-so ready. He done got it tonight. And that's whenever bad things happen in baseball.
Obviously, when you get to the highest level of a sport, whether it be Major League Baseball or the NBA or the NFL, like you're looking at a bunch of physical specimen, but you also are around some of the most mentally focused people on the planet. And like, have you ever had that break of focus where you're like, holy shit, I'm facing Jose Altuve in the World Series right now? Like, have you ever had that, what is this life that I'm living moment?
Yeah. After Adam Duvall hit the grand slam in the first inning, I get the double play and like all the emotions hit me, and it was like, I gotta let this out. And I just like, I'm not a big like yeller after I get like an out. And I mean, I let one out. I let a let's go, and I'm freaking hyped out. And like, I come off the mound, I'm in the dugout, and Josh Tomlin's in there, and he's like, how great was that? And I was like, you can inject that adrenaline into me every day of the week. Like, I want it again. I was like, I want that feeling every day, because it was incredible. It just, I can't draw it up. I mean, it's one of those, like, you take the most adrenalized you've ever been in your spot and amplify it with 50,000 people in front of you. And that's the best way you can put it there. But I think when Duvall hit that, I kind of like, my heart like stopped and was like, oh, you're in the World Series. Like, you're up 4-0 now. Like, you need to go take care of business. And yeah. I think it was one of those, and like, there's still a very good team. And I think that kind of like hit me of like, okay, like, you still got Bregman coming up. You still got, I can't even think, like, Brantley, you got everybody coming up. Like, you still have to make pitches. Yeah. You're not done. Like, you only threw the first inning. Like, you still got to do some more work. And that's kind of one of those. And I knew it was like, hey, get us as many outs as you can. Like, everybody knew, like, we were in a tight spot. We were going to bullpen the game. And it was, hey, like, you're the starting pitcher. Go do your thing. Like, if I went 5 innings, it's a different story than if I went the 2 innings that I did go. So it's kind of one of those, anything can happen in this game. And That's the beauty of it.
And that Houston lineup was just so incredibly loaded.
They
rake. So, and I know that it's tough for you to say, oh yeah, we can't let this guy beat us because they're 9 deep. Even Maldonado in the back end was like actually getting hits. But was there a person, I guess I kind of contradicted myself, but was there a player that you thought to yourself, well, I absolutely cannot let him beat me?
Not so much during the World Series, kind of earlier games. Like I remember we faced Philly, and I was like, I'm not letting Harper beat me today. It was the first time we had faced, and I was like, I'm not going to let Harper beat me today. I was like, I don't care if I walk him 3 times or we face Soto, I walked him twice. I was like, I'm not going to let Juan Soto be the reason we lose today. I'd rather something else, and that's kind of the case. And I think in the World Series, just kind of make that when it comes available of, hey, I got 2 outs with 2 runners on second and third, and Altuve's up. That's the guy. I'm not going to let him beat me today. That's kind of, I think, so it kind of just kind of goes in waves of this guy's not going to beat me today. But everybody kind of has their, during normal games of this guy's not going to beat me. That whole lineup was like, I'm not letting you beat me type of thing. So, but I mean, I guess if we had to pick one, it was either Correa or Altuve, just because they were the heart and soul of that lineup, and everybody knew exactly. Everybody's screaming at Altuve and Correa. So you want to do that for yourself and also for the fans, of getting the fans back into the game.
And like
Tucker,
I was just gonna say, and Kyle Tucker is so good. Jordan, we think is gonna be a Hall of Famer. Like there is no resting in this lineup. There's just none.
No, it just kept going and going and going. I was like, oh, we're flipping up. Oh, Altuve's here.
Right. Tucker, I got one more World Series question for you. The night shift was like nuts in the postseason, right? It was, Matzik, Minter, Jackson Smith. That was the back end. That was just dynamite. I know Matzik refers to himself on Twitter as nutsack. Have you ever looked him in the eyes, like grown man to grown man, and called him nutsack?
No, he won't get that from me. No, I'm not gonna look at him like, "What's up, nutsack?" I mean, I think somebody like joked around it, and I want to say, what's the there's like some trimmers, the lawnmower. What are they called?
Manscaped.
Oh, Manscaped.
Manscaped. I want to say he did like a deal where they were sending him a bunch of stuff, and that story started blowing up, and I was just like, this is awesome. I mean, like, yeah, the Burgundy Boys. You got, I think Minter, we were calling him the Techno Cowboy. Like, you got Will Smith out there. You got Slider Man. I mean, that it was just one of those bullpens that everybody was so tight together, and everybody was enjoying being around each other. And it was at the point during that playoffs, it was like, man, if starter goes 5, like we're set. Like we'll roll out Minter, then we'll roll out either Matzik or Luke, and then Will Smith's on a freaking burner right now, so we're going to shut it down in the 9th. So it's like, get us to that point, and that was kind of, I think, everybody's goal.
Dude, I bring up 2015 Kansas City often because, like, if the starting pitcher got them through 6, it was Herrera, Davis, Holland, and then the game was over, and that's what it felt like.
It's kind of like whenever like Mariano Rivera would go on like 9th inning and be like, oh, Yankees won. All right, see you tomorrow. Right. It was just like, we're not going to beat them. We're not going to beat him. So, yeah, I mean, like seeing like just like them hit that switch, like the 4th inning when they get down there and they kind of start feeling like, okay, like it's about to be me, and just like their energy and like the like getting locked in. I was just like, this is it. Like you can't beat this at all. Like, good luck.
And just to take a small step back, I read an article on MLB.com that came out a couple months ago that you passed your teammate, Kyle Wright, who pitched in Game 2 for the longest gap between a big league appearance to a World Series game because you were injured with that forearm, 138 days. I just can't imagine how it felt to step on the mound after such a long period of time away. Can you explain what kind of preparation you were doing to stay on top of your game with that lengthy of a time period?
So I'll just break it down from whenever I got hurt because it'll be a little easier to understand. So got hurt June 15th. For 6 weeks, didn't touch baseball. It was, hey, we're going to calm this down. We're going to get you built back up, and we'll go from there. So after 6 weeks of not throwing, it was, I think, another month in Atlanta throwing, and then another month in Florida, kind of doing baseball things of, hey, we're going to start doing bullpens. We're going to start getting you ready to start being able to pitch against hitters and that aspect. So past all that, and I think there was a week left in the season, and they're like, do you want to go to AAA and do a rehab start? And I said, yes. I was like, if I'm going to be hurt, like I want to know in a real game and be able to walk off and I'm like, all right, I'm hurt. But if I walk off that game like I am healthy, it'll help me sleep at night. It'll help everything. I'm not worried about my arm. Like, oh, does it hurt today? Am I just making up this pain? Am I doing this? Is it just sore? Whatever the case may be. And so I think that was October 3rd. So that was the first game I had kind of pitched, and I was amped like that first inning because it was like all my friends were in AAA because like Kyle Wright was down, Kyle Muller, Tukey had just got sent down, like Camargo was down, Kipnis was there for like a little bit, and like we had such a tight bond at the first year, and so everybody was there. So I'm just like I'm feeling myself. I'm like I strike out like 2 guys in the first inning, and I'm pumped, and everybody's just like, okay, like you didn't miss a beat, and then the season ended and they asked me to stay for the taxi squad in case something happened for injuries. Yeah. But each round you can switch up the roster. So we were kind of in a competition down at the taxi squad, but also in competition with, say for instance, like Dylan Lee and like Santana, who was kind of down there at the first of the like playoffs. It was just kind of like one of those like, okay, if they don't pitch well, like it might be an opportunity for them, but if they pitch well, or we need a starter this round, we don't need a starter. I think the first round we didn't need 4 starters, so they only took 3 and they took an extra bullpen on. So I knew I wasn't going that round, but I knew when we had to play the Dodgers, they might need a 4 starter. And then if we made it to the World Series, they might need a 4 starter. And so we were always in competitiveness of just doing, it was, I think 12 of us, like 6 pitchers, like 4 hitters, a couple coaches. And we were just all like, I was throwing to Matt Tuiasosopa, who was the AAA manager for the Gwinnett Stripers this year. He was the lefty because we didn't have any left-handed hitters down there. So like, I'd have to be like, hey, you got to get in for like at least 2 batters today of my 50 pitches. So I see like a lefty and I don't get called up and I'm like, oh, I haven't seen a lefty since June. This isn't good. Yeah.
Now Kyle Tucker's up.
Now Kyle Tucker's up and I'm like, oh, don't groove him a heater because he will hit it out. But I think there was a game, Kyle Wright was down there for a little bit and our manager, Tui, I think he got like 3 hits off of Kyle Wright and I, like within like 70 pitches for both of us. What? And we're literally sitting there, I'm like, what do we do at this point? Like, I think it was like Kyle threw a really good sinker and he like kind of hits it over the third baseman for a base hit. And he like kind of hits one up the middle off of him. I hung a slider and I'm literally sitting there, I'm like, what is going on right now? And like, it's just one of those things. Like if you got it, you got it. You can do it anytime.
Yeah. And I did see that you haven't had a ton of success as a hitter so far in your career.
No.
I heard you say that you were 0 for 10 with 10 strikeouts, but then I heard on the broadcast of Game 5 that you were 0 for 7 with 7 Ks from Joe Buck. But, you know, hey.
I mean, I count my AAA ABs as well because those still kind of count in my mind of like, hey, did you get the bunt down? I only have like, I think I only have like 2 bunt attempts in my entire, like, since AA, which was 2019. And it's kind of weird in the minor leagues, like you don't hit unless it's 2 NL clubs. So it doesn't matter if an AL club comes to you. So you don't get consistent reps of it. And then you see 96 and you're like, man, I can't, how do I do this? And I was a good hitter in high school and actually went to junior college to be a hitter for a week. And then the head coach asked me, he's like, could you get a hit off yourself? I said, no chance. He goes, yeah, you're a PO now. And I'm like, okay, that dream died being a 2-way. But like I have a good swing and everything. And I think it was one of those, like I was coming back from injury. Maybe I didn't focus on it enough in the off season of like, hey, I should probably go hit in the cage. I should probably do these things. And a lot of it was just getting the timing down of like when my foot should down, when I should start swinging. And then they throw you a big curveball and you look silly and you're just kind of like, man, this is not that fun. So I'm in vote for the universal DH because I like watching Ronald Acuna hit 450-foot bombs.
Yeah. Listen, Tucker, they cannot take away your 2019 2 hits and sub 50% K rate with Mississippi. Okay.
They can't take it away.
Good stuff.
First hit I got was like a swinging bunt, like hit it off the plate, goes over the thing, and I'm just chopping down the first. I'm like, yeah, let's go. And we had like a running, I guess you call it like a little bet. Like it was like $100 from each guy, like to the first pitcher of the starting pitchers to get a hit. And we're thinking it's going to take us a week and a half. Oh no, it took us 2 months. Like Patrick Weigel got called up. I mean, we had like, it was going on, and Kyle Muller does a swinging butt and gets it. And I think it was off of Jordan Yamamoto. And I was like, no, you're not getting that. Like, that doesn't count. Like, I want to hit. And so
Kyle Muller, who was like national player of the year. Like, dude was obviously like a freaky good hitter.
Especially from him. And like, if you ever get to see his BP, like, it's as good as Acuna. It's like, I'm putting, like, his power is unbelievable. His hand-eye coordination is not as good, but his power is like, it's up there. He hits a ball off of Jordan Yamamoto, like 111, double in the gap, and he just like hits whatever like our little dance was at second, and he comes in. I go, yeah, I'll Venmo you after the game. And so like he can hit a little bit, and we're in Nashville this year in AAA, and he hits a ball 117 for a base hit, and it was one of those like shortstop didn't have time to jump. It was over his head, and it almost rolled to the wall. And we were like, what just happened? And like, I want to say like somebody like tweeted it out, and like, this was an absolute missile. So if you can find that video, like props to Kyle Muller. We work out together down here in Dallas. So he'll probably be talking a little smack to me tomorrow about saying that, but it'll be all good.
And to put 117 exit velos in relation to other big leaguers, Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, and I think Shohei Ohtani were the only players in Major League Baseball this year to hit 117. Also, O'Neal Cruz, that 6'7" shortstop for the Pirates, also hit a couple, which is insane. He's going to be crazy. But so he's a guy that I kind of want to ask you about of how he's going to be able to develop as a 6'7" shortstop. But we were talking about two-way guys. And I'm in the boat where I think Shohei Ohtani had the greatest season in MLB history.
Oh, unbelievable. You can't write that again.
And we know how it was with the fans, but how was it with players in the dugout when you see him doing both and you know how hard it is to do both?
It's unbelievable, just kind of the things he can do. And I think everybody in the league's kind of, man, like you're going to win MVP like every year if you continue to do this. And it's kind of, you just got to stay healthy. Like we all love watching Mike Trout play. Everybody loves watching Mike Trout play. He's a fantastic human, and he's an incredible beast out on the field. So we root for those guys. That we want success out of everybody. And it's kind of, we want you to be healthy. We want to see you hit BP. We obviously don't want to be pitching against you whenever you hit up 450 and we're all over Sports Center. But we also know what you're doing is so rare. I mean, I don't know. Brendan McKay was trying for a while, but right. I think Ohtani is just in a different realm of the world of, I mean, you're talking one of the best athletes to ever step on a baseball field just because he can throw a ball 100 miles an hour off the mound with 500 pitches and throw splitters at 93 miles an hour to make guys look like they're trying to hit Zach Greinke's curveball at 58. And it's just like one of those, it's like, it's something that it's rare. I don't know if it'll happen again because we've all seen it. It's been 100 years since Babe Ruth played, and we hadn't seen anything like that in a while. I mean, there's not many. It's like kind of like Bo Jackson. There's not many Bo Jacksons out there. So it's just one of those things. It's rare. It's awesome to see, and you just hope it's not against you.
Yeah. Hey.
Well, what blows me away is just the speed of Shohei Ohtani. The fact that he stole 26 bases and he had one of the fastest home to first time. Like, that's where it's like I can't even.
Whoa. Yeah.
Whoa.
I mean, he's going to be a career 270 to 280 hitter because he still strikes out, but he's going to still need 20 bags if they don't tell him to stop doing that. And he's going to hit 40 home runs if he gets the opportunity. And you just hope he throws 150 innings each year. And I'm interested to see how like the lockout and the new CBA is going to be able to treat his contract, because how do you pay an ace and an MVP? And I'm like, the Angels can't afford to give him $90 million for the 40 he's worth for pitching and the 50 he's worth of being a hitter. So I'm kind of sitting here. I'm like, how is he going to get paid? Like, how do you break that down? And especially in like, I don't think he's going to go through arbitration, but if he did, like, how would that dictate? Like, he's like Mookie Betts, but he's also like Garrett Cole. So it's like, where do you kind of rank him? And I think that's kind of the cool part about it, is like, he's just something we haven't seen in so long and never in my lifetime. So it's something so rare and so awesome.
Hey, Tucker Davidson, one more to wrap up for you. Peter calls himself the Addison Rae of baseball TikTok. If you were to comp yourself, because professional athletes are often comped, are you Charlie or Dixie D'Amelio?
Well, which one's older? Because I don't know if the youngest one's even 18, Dixie. So I don't want to start that.
No, just give yourself a TikTok comp.
Yeah, Dixie's older.
So don't go down on that road. I don't know what I can't think of his name. The guy that like people are trying to do something all hard, and he just kind of like does his like hands.
Oh, Noodle, the pug, the Noodle.
No,
give me that guy. That's my comp.
Yeah. Oh, is that the Bones Day dog? The No Bones Day?
Yeah. That or the he's a diehard Danger. I want to say his name's Danger, and he's like, "Hey, listen," and he like gives you like some random fact after he shows you like a weird video. That guy might be my comp, but you can't be the Addison Rae. Come on.
You know, I like to boost myself up a little bit. You know, I mean, technically maybe not, but you know, you got to shoot for the stars and maybe land on them.
Shoot for the stars. Yeah. But just one more question about TikTok.
Why do you think, because we don't see a lot of big leaguers on it. I actually made a reaction video because Luis Robert, he was having hip issues, and he was like dancing on TikTok, and I'm like, Luis, like, we need your hips to be healthy, and they look great dancing. I'm just more curious why more baseball players haven't hopped on TikTok. Is there like this weird thing about it? I don't know.
I just think it's because, like, especially the big leagues, it's a lot of older guys that are 25 to 40. So that might not be their thing. That might be something their kids are starting to get into or their wife's into. So I think it'll start growing again. Like I saw Bauer just got on it. Like I know Luis Robert, Evan Mendoza's in on it. And like I'll have like random, like Tim Anderson has one, like I'll see like random videos of like dealers. I'm like, oh, nice. And during COVID, my agent sent me over, goes, hey, TikTok's this new app that's really growing. You should get an account and start posting all your baseball stuff. And I like saw like how much engagement I got like on day one. It's like, oh, like I could kind of take this and run with it and become, I kind of wanted to become the baseball TikTok guy. That kind of became a goal after a couple months of doing it. I was like, man, I could be known for this. This can be like help start growing my brand. But I think, especially with all these high school kids starting to get drafted, that TikTok's really all they've known for the last few years. In college, it's very big, and it's starting to creep through the minor leagues. I think more and more will do it. But I mean, do you see Garrett Cole out there doing like the trend, unless his like wife made it? Like, I just don't see some of those guys like,
sure.
like like unless they're like, I don't see them doing like the dancing, like, I don't know what they all do. Like, I'm not a big dancer.
Me neither.
Obviously, that's why I haven't. Yeah, so that's why I don't do any of the dancing ones, but I was just like that. And then you have to keep up with trends, and you have to consistently be on the app of finding something like that. So I think it's growing for sure. And I mean, that app's going to overtake Instagram probably in the next few years, I would assume, just on the rapid growth it's been on.
Hey, Tucker Davidson, this was absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for doing this, man.
Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. Being able to talk baseball with two guys, just like hanging out and enjoying it like we have always. So,
and make sure to go follow Tucker on TikTok at TuckTuck. Did you have a different username before that? Because that's kind of perfect.
Yeah, I was like TDave56 when I first signed up, but my Instagram and Twitter are both TuckTuck. So I was like, hey, can I get this like switched to TuckTuck so it's just all the same and don't have to be like, oh, well, my TikTok's this and my Instagram's this. And it was like, I'm just going to be TuckTuck.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much, and you're welcome back anytime.
Well, thank you so much for having me on.